Okay, if you're at the plasma and you want to use it, there's two things you got to do. Number one, you got to plug it in. So it has to go from this cord and plug into where one of the welders are. We don't have its own plug on the wall over here just yet. So into the welder. And you also have to get air. The closest air for you is going to be over here on the wall, and make sure you turn the valve on so that it's ready to roll. Okay. Once you have all this stuff, you should be ready to go at this front panel. You should have all green lights. If you are cutting our thin stuff, like we're only cutting 1/8 of an inch, you can crank down the amperage to probably 30, and that will do it, no problem. Okay, the other thing you have to do is you have to make sure that the torch, that the green is on the torch. If it's yellow, this shuts the torch off. You'll notice that there's a warning label on the plasma as well. So to turn it on, hit green, and it should be good to go. The other thing you're gonna have to do is, because this is an electrical process, there's also a ground cable. So you're gonna have to hook your ground cable to your piece of metal. This table is painted, so you can't hook it to just the table, otherwise you won't get a good ground. So it has to go to your piece of metal. Okay, so Paxton's here. He has set this piece of plate. This is a guide plate. So if you look at the tip of the plasma torch from this outside edge, and I might have moved that. This outside edge where my fingernail is to the center is 1/4 of an inch. So Paxton took his tape measure, and from his line to this guide, he set it at 1/4 of an inch. So now, and you can clamp this. You could go get one of the clamps off the tool wall and clamp this, but this plate's heavy enough that if Paxton rests his hand here and cuts, he shouldn't have to clamp it. So to start plasma cutting, I'll hand this off. Start plasma cutting, remember you have to turn this on, and then I bleed it. So I'm gonna burp this trigger, and that'll get the air flowing. So right there, now I have airflow, and I should be good to start cutting. You have to flip the trigger, or flip this little guard up, squeeze the trigger. So I'm not actually gonna cut. You would be wearing gloves so you can hold it. You're gonna start off your piece of metal, flip the trigger, turn it on, and then all you're gonna do is you can drag this across the metal, and you wanna drag it. You don't have to, you're not going super fast. You're not also going like really, really slow. You're gonna go at a nice, even pace all the way across, and you should have a really nice cut. When you're done, so that this thing doesn't end up messing somebody up, shut it off. Because you're gonna be laying this, there's everybody walking everywhere, so make sure this is off. The other thing I told Paxton, he had this ground clamp on the side he was cutting. If you're gonna have it on the side you're cutting, while you're cutting it, that ground clamp could be enough weight that it flops out of the way and messes, while you're trying to go nice and easy, all of a sudden it lifts your torch out of the way. So make sure your clamp is away from where you're cutting. The other thing, that plasma arc that comes out of here is really bright. You should probably put on a welding mask. You can just set it to that grind feature, just so that you have a little bit of light over your eyes to protect you. Other than that, that's pretty much it for the plasma.